All right, so we're going over practice test 86 game 1. It is a hybrid game. I think it's about as basic as you can get on a hybrid game. We are grouping our variables and then ordering them within our groups, which is just a hybrid game. So we have 6 speakers. We have J, K, L, M, N, and O. Will lecture at an upcoming 2-day conference held on Thursday and Friday. So there are the groups. Thursday and Friday. And the lectures will be given at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock each day. So what we could do is, here's how we're going to combine them together. Our groups are Thursday and Friday. If we were looking at a typical group game, we would just shuffle in our variables, who's going to present on Thursday, who's going to present on Friday. Our ordering aspect is the time that they're going to present. If we were doing a typical ordering game, we would do something like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then order them in as J is going to present at 1, 2, 3, and so forth. However, each day is going to have this time frame of 1, 2, and 3. So what we can do is we can combine them. Our groups on one end, our ordering sequence on the other. So we could do something like this. You can also flip it on its side and do your groups on a horizontal flat and then do, or vertical line, and then do your times on a horizontal flat. Either way is fine. You're just shifting it to the other side. I'm going to do vertical just because that just makes most sense to me right now. So this is what we have. That way, when we read it, we can go, okay, Tuesday, 1 o'clock, Friday, 1 o'clock, Tuesday, 2 o'clock, Friday, 2 o'clock. So each speaker will lecture exactly once, and only one speaker will lecture at a time. Okay. And then we have our rule. So our first rule is J lectures at 1 o'clock. So J is going to be at 1 o'clock. We can immediately break this into worlds because there are only 2 spots for 1 o'clock. It does not specify the day. And so what we can do is we can make 2 worlds here without even having to write down our rule. Going, J is going to be on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. It's Thursday. J is going to be on Thursday at 1 o'clock, or J is going to be on Friday at 1 o'clock. Then I don't even have to think about J anymore, and I don't even have to think about that rule without writing it out. So we already have our 2 worlds, which is great. The next rule, rule number 2, says that M and N lecture on the same day as each other. Notice how it does not mention which order they are in. So technically N could go at 2 and M could go at 3. But M could also go at 1. M could also go at 3. It's just the same day as each other. It doesn't mean that they have to be on top of each other or anything like that. So for the way that I wrote it as a block like this, and I'm going to write my little flippy sign here to let myself know that they can go in any order. So yeah, M and N on the same day. Our next rule says that L and O do not lecture on the same day as each other. So L and O hate each other. So L, O, they do not like each other. That means one's going to go on Thursday, one's going to go on Friday. Does not mention anything about the time frame of it, so they can do whatever they want time-wise. And number 4 says if L lectures on Friday, then L lectures at 1 o'clock. Okay, so here we have L, if it's on Friday, and it's going to be at 1 o'clock. Why? What was that? L is at 1 o'clock. It's weird. Okay, so we can actually start with this 4th rule, because while I usually say you should start with your blocks, this block isn't like a traditional block. It's not like M and N are in that order and have to be that close to one another. Technically, I could do something like M is at 1, N is at 3, flip them around, or I could move one of them up to 2 and say that M and N are at 1 and 2, or M and N are at 2 and 3. So it's actually a really wide variety there. Whereas number 4 is actually not super wide, because the trigger variable here is if L lectures on Friday. The opposite of that is L isn't lecturing on Friday, which only leads me with it lecturing on Thursday. So what we can do is we can break up our worlds where L lectures on Friday, L lectures on Thursday. So in that first world, we can go, okay, L is going to go on Thursday, and then I'll make a new world and say that L is on Friday. So one where L is going to be on Thursday, and I'm just going to put it up here because I don't really know if it's at 2 or 3. I could technically put it in here and do something like this if I wanted to, but I'm just going to stick it above Thursday for right now. And then the other side of it is L is on Friday, which will initiate that rule and says that it has to go at 1 o'clock. Now for world number 2, we can actually immediately figure out where L goes or which day L goes on. Because if L is going to lecture on Friday and has to be at 1, there's no way I could have J at 1 too. Because one of our rules in the paragraph is they are speaking one at a time. So I can't have any overlapping. So this immediately is going to tell us that L actually has to go on Thursday. There's no way it could go on Friday because it can't go at 1. So L is pretty much a floater on Thursday. It can do whatever it wants. Okay, so that gets rid of rule number 4. Now, the other thing that we can then domino effect into is our L and O rule, because now we kind of know where L is. Well, at least the basis to get rid of rule number 3. Rule number 3 is L and O are on separate days. We know which day L is on, and we might even know which time L is in. But now that we know which day L is on, we can then go and figure out where O is going to be placed. So first off, don't know why I put that there. I don't think I backed it far enough. So for example, in world number 1, we know that L is on Thursday. That means O is going to have to go on Friday. We don't really know where it's going to go right now. We'll just notate that it has to go on Friday. Same thing with number 2. We know L is on Thursday, which is going to force O to go on Friday, which it's going to be in one of these 2 spots over here. And world number 3, we know L is on Friday. That means that O is going to go on Thursday. So we can erase that rule. Easy peasy. Yay. Okay. Our next rule is the M and N rule, which is actually going to be a little bit easy to implement because M and N, they have to take up 2 of the 3 spots. And so if we know in world number 1 that L and J are going to be somewhere on Thursday, there's no way I can squeeze M and N in together on Thursday. So that means that M and N is actually going to be on Friday to take up those 2 spaces. And then my remaining variable is K. So L and K are actually going to flip-flop. And really our O, M, and N are just complete floaters over on Friday. It really doesn't matter where they go, so long as they're on Friday, which is a lot easier for us because when we can just move them around to fit whatever we need to fit. The same thing kind of happens in world number 2. We know that J and O are going to take up F in some kind of way, which means that we don't have enough space for our M and N to kind of float around. So M and N are actually going to be forced to go on Thursday with our L. I'm going to do something like this. M, N, L. There we go. They're floaters on Thursday. You could also do something like this if you wanted to. They're all flipping around each other. I think that could be a little confusing, but I don't care how you diagram it, really. And then our remaining variable being K, so O and K are going to flip around between one another. Our last diagram, same thing kind of happens. We have J and O taking up Thursday. If M and N need to be together, that means that they have to have 2 spots, which means that they're going to go on Friday. And again, it does not matter which order they go in, so they can flip around freely. And that leaves our O and our K to flip around freely as well between one another. So that leads us with these diagrams. These are going to be our diagrams to go over our questions with. 2/3. Okay. Let's go into our questions. Question number 1 is a list question. So we'll go through our answer choices and eliminate the ones that do not match our rules that we have. So rule number 1 is J lectures at 1. That will eliminate answer choice E and only answer choice E. So E is out. M and N lecture on the same day as each other. That's going to eliminate answer choice C. So now we're between A, B, and D. Next rule says L and O do not lecture on the same day as each other. That eliminates D. So now we're between A and B. If L lectures on Friday, then L lectures at 1. That eliminates answer choice A because L is lecturing on Friday and it's not at 1. So that's going to leave us with answer choice B, which if we've done our diagrams correct, we should be able to see answer choice B. And we do. We see that right here. Oh, what just happened? In world number 1. We have J, L, and K on Thursday, and then O, M, and N on Friday. So that's going to be our answer. Next question says, if M lectures at 1, then any of the following could be true except. So in the world where M could lecture at 1, that happens in world number 1 and world number 2. Okay, so we have a lot of moving variables around here. Usually I try to predict something because these could be trues, attack the variables that kind of float around, but it could be true except. So I'm going to anticipate my wrong answer choices are going to have something to do with my floating variables. Just a estimate. So we're looking for our exception. Our correct answer choice cannot happen. J lectures on Thursday. I can have that happen in world number 1. So it eliminates answer choice A. K lectures on Friday. That can happen in world number 2. So it eliminates answer choice B. L lectures on Friday. I don't have that happening. So I like answer choice C. But answer choice D says M lectures on Thursday. Well, we can have that happen in our second world. We said we could put that in there. And answer choice E, N lectures on Friday. Yeah, we can have that happen here. We can have N in answer choice F. So N in group F. So our answer becomes C, L lectures on Friday. I do not have that happening in any of my diagrams. The next question says, which one of the following is a pair of speakers who cannot lecture on the same day as each other? So when I go through my answer choice, I'm going to ask myself, can these two be on the same day together? If they can, that means I can eliminate them. J and N. I don't have that happening. I hate when it's answer choice A because it freaks me out. So we're going to say it's answer choice A and we're going to look through B and E and expect those to be wrong. J and O, that can happen here. And it can also happen here. So we can eliminate J and O. K and L, that can happen right here. So we can eliminate that one. L and M, I'm noticing that happening right here. I can put them together. It also happens here. So we can eliminate that. N and O, that can happen right here. N and O can be together on Friday. So our answer choice does become A. The next one says, if K lectures at 3 o'clock on Friday, which one of the following must be true? So that actually forces us to focus on number 2. And it means that K is going to go in that third spot and O is going to go on 2 o'clock. So I can't move anything else around. Must be trues, we can totally predict them because there's something that has to be stable. So I'm predicting that J is in 1 on Friday or O is in 2 on Friday. And that's answer choice E. O is at 2 on Friday. So that's going to be our answer choice. Every other answer choice is either cannot happen or could happen, but doesn't have to happen. Really, any answer choice that's going to include M, N, or L, I can immediately eliminate because I don't know where those variables are going to go. They're floaters. So that eliminates B, C, and D. And then J lecturing at 1 o'clock on Thursday. That doesn't happen in this diagram. So that creates answer choice E. Next one says, which one of the following speakers cannot lecture at one? Okay, so again, we can totally predict this one because we know who's going to lecture at one. We know that Jay can lecture at one, which I would highly doubt that this would be an answer choice given that it's a rule, but we know that Jay can lecture at one. We know that any of our floaters can lecture at one, and we know that L can lecture at one, which is also a floater over here. So I am eliminating answers M, N, O, and L, which leaves us with A, answer choice A, which is K. K cannot lecture at one. All right, our next question is a substitute question. If you're not getting 20 plus correct on your sections, you should pick an answer and move on. These questions can be really difficult and huge time wastes. So it's a lot better. It's more in your interest and more in your benefit to pick an answer choice, move on, and spend the time on the setup for the next game rather than sit here and try to figure out the answer and ultimately possibly get it wrong or waste 5 minutes and get 1 point. So if you're not getting 20 correct, pick an answer choice and move on. However, we'll go over this one. For substitute questions, I have 2 phases basically. Phase 1 is eliminating our answer choices that do not have to be true. If they do not have to be true, it's creating different diagrams. And when we do substitute questions, we're looking for something that's just right, which means that we're creating the exact same diagrams that we already have. So if our answer choice does not have to be true, that means I'm either creating new diagrams or I'm restricting the diagrams that I already have. So let's go through answer choices. Let's go through the answer choices, go through phase 1, and then we'll go through phase 2. So our question is, which one of the following if substitute for the condition that L and O do not lecture on the same day as each other? Okay, L and O hate each other. This is the rule that we're looking for. Before we dive into it, we can think about what this rule forces to happen. What are we trying to accomplish here with our new rule? And that is L and O are split up. So our new rule should force L and O to split up. That's what we're looking for. So A, J and K lecture on the same day as each other. That does have to be true. In all of my diagrams, that is happening. So we'll keep answer choice A. Answer choice B says K and O lecture on the same day as each other. That does not have to be true. In my first diagram, K and O are split up together. So for example, if I selected answer choice B as my answer, what I'm saying is that this is going to perfectly substitute my L and O split up rule. And that would then mean that I would not be able to use my diagram 1 because it would violate my answer choice, which would be the new rule. So B is wrong for that purpose. C says N and O lecture on the same day as each other. That does not have to be true. That actually does not have to be true in both of these worlds. I can have N and O split up. So again, if I picked answer choice C, it means that I don't have to have them together, which means that I could eliminate these 2 diagrams. It would prevent me from using those 2 diagrams. So answer choice C is wrong. D says J and M do not lecture on the same day as each other. That does have to be true. J and M are split up, so we'll keep that one open for now. Answer choice E says K and N do not lecture on the same day together. That also has to be true. K and N are separated from one another, so now we're at least between A, D, and E. If you at least have 30 seconds on your test left, you can at least go through this answer choice or these answers and at least do that part of the phase because it's just like a must be true question. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be our correct answer choice. As you can see, I can't have 3 correct answer choices. So even though the answer choice must be true, does not necessarily mean that the rule is going to force L and O to be separated from one another. So that's one way that we can ease into our phase 2. Phase 2 is seeing if we could still break that original rule. If we can force the original rule to be broken, that means it's not restrictive enough. So for example, if I look at answer choice A, J and K have to be on the same day as each other. If I diagram that out, J and K on the same day together actually forces L and O to be separated. Because I have to have M and N together on the same day, I don't have enough room to put them in Thursday. I would be forced to put them in Friday. L and O are separated. And even if I flipped them over and did J and K on Friday, same thing happens. M and N are going to be on Thursday and L and O are going to be separated. So that's why, all the way back. A is our correct answer. But if we look at answer choice D, J and M do not lecture on the same day as each other. If I separated these, I can still break my original rule. Because what I can do is I can go, okay, M and N are going to be together. L and O, if I can go, okay, L and O are going to go together, which I totally can, that means that it's not restrictive enough. It's allowing me to break that original rule, which means if I chose answer choice D, it's going to create this new diagram here, which is not a diagram that I had created in my original game. And that's not what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out something that creates the same diagrams that we already have. So answer choice D, not restrictive enough. I can still break that original rule. Answer choice E says K and N do not lecture on the same day together. Okay, so let's go through the same thing. If I separated K and N together, and I said that, okay, I'm going to figure out if I can still break my original rule, I totally still can. M and N can go together, J can still be at 1 o'clock, and L and O can be on the same day as each other. So I can still break my original rule, which means it's not restrictive enough. It's creating this brand new diagram that I have here. So it's not our correct answer choice. So E, even though it has to be true that K and N are not on the same day together, they don't force L and O to go apart from one another. I can still make that happen. And that's why answer choice A is our correct answer, because if I go J and K on the same day as each other, it's going to force L and O to be split up from one another. So that is the game. Again, if you are not getting 20 plus correct on your logic game sections, please skip the substitute questions. Do not even worry about them until you are getting to the point where you're getting the lower hanging fruit. But other than that, good luck on everything else. That should be it.